Hello. Apologies for the way I look. I literally got up. I just want to do a little bit of housework and I'm listening to this Under the Whispering Door. When I picked it up in a library, I actually didn't know what this book was about. It was something that I had on my TBR for a long time, and no, actually I should call it WTR. Yeah, want to read. So I had it on my WTR for a while, and I can't even remember when I added it. And so I just picked it up from the library, and they also had an audiobook, so when I'm not reading I can listen to this. And at first I didn't know what to think about it. It's about this guy that he's a lawyer or solicitor or something like that, and he has a heart attack and he dies, and there's this girl that comes to get him, and she's the Grim Reaper, and they go into this place. It's like a cafe where the ferryman lives and works. So the ferryman is the guy that takes the souls of the people to the other side. But there's more to it. We meet all these characters. There's the ferryman's, I think the ferryman's called Hugo. There's his granddad, he's in there. Granddad's soul, actually, because granddad is dead and his soul is still left behind. And Hugo and this girl, the Grim Reaper, they're both human, but they can interact and see ghosts, so that they were given the job from the manager of the I don't know how you say it, to actually look after the souls. So rip them and then look after them and help them to pass over to the other side. And there's so much going on. Wallace is bisexual, and I think he slowly falls in love in Hugo, and it kind of like we're watching the relationship between them two develop. I have a feeling, this is just my guess, my prediction, that this is going to be a sad story, because obviously Wallace will have to pass through to the other side at some point, and since Hugo the ferryman, he's human. Yeah, so I can't see this book having a happy ending. I just find it interesting to read, and yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm curious how this book is going to end, how it's going to develop. So back to the chores, back to listening to my book, and then shower and relax. My eyes are very itchy, very dry for some strange... Maybe because I've just finished reading a book. I finished it and I gave it 5 stars. This story, this book is so beautifully written. Like I said before, I didn't know what this book was about. I think if I knew what this book was about, I wouldn't pick it up, because it's... To a lot of people, it will be a difficult book to read because of the subjects that it talks about. So, I don't know. I probably wouldn't pick it up, and I am so glad I did. I had someone talk about this book and they said they loved it, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. My library had it. This is a library copy, so I picked it up from the library, and it was so beautiful. It's so beautifully written. It's got a touch of humor here and there, and it talks about love. It talks about hope. It's quite dark and sad in places. It's very emotional in places, but it also talks about second chances, and you know, I don't know, it was just so beautiful. I don't want to talk about like specifics because I don't want to say too much, but the book mostly focuses on Wallace and his development throughout the story. I can't remember last time I read a book that had such an impact on me. I think the last one probably was Project Hail Mary. That was the book that literally till this day I cannot stop thinking about, and to me this is like a 6-star book. To me this one, I think it's very similar. I know if you've read this book, you might say, oh, the ending is predictable. And yes, it was, but still didn't change the fact how the author beautifully led us to the end of this story, and how he led us to the ending. And, you know, even though it was predictable, it was still very emotional. I felt very emotional reading the ending of this story, and I just freaking loved it. And I just packed it up. I'm going to take it. Whoops, almost took my eye out. Going to the library tomorrow, and I'm gonna drop some other books that I have, and I am going to start reading this. I've renewed it. But I'm thinking this is only 250 pages, so maybe if I push through, I will be able to finish reading it today, and then I can take this one with the rest of the books that I'm taking back to the library tomorrow. So let's see how that goes. Hopefully I'll finish it tonight. If not, then whatever, I renewed it, so that's the plan for tonight. Good morning. So I haven't finished reading this book last night because I just got so tired. My eyes started closing. So I finished it this morning, and just in time to return it to the library. And this is a book that, in my opinion, could be read by adults and kids both. This is a story of this man that comes to his old town where he grew up as an adult. I figured out he's around like 50, and he comes to a funeral, and then he goes to visit his old house, and then the house of his friend from childhood, and he spends the afternoon sitting by the pond where they used to play when they were kids. He was 7, she was 11. So he sits by this pond, and he starts remembering different things from childhood, what happened during, like, over the few days just after his 7th birthday. And it's a story of magic, enchantment. There's few scary bits in there as well. And so yeah, do check the trigger warnings before you start reading this book, because it touches on child abuse, a little bit of a body horror as well. But it's said in such a nice way, I think both kids and adults will enjoy it. But yeah, just be mindful and check what the trigger warnings are. So I really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars, and yeah, it's a little tiny book. It's about 230 pages, so it was a quick read. And this is another thing that makes me think it's a kid's book or like a middle school kind of book, because of the size of it and also the format. So usually kids books are of this format. So I really enjoyed it, recommend it. Yes, 4 stars, so definitely recommend it to people to read, as it is a very nice story. And yeah, off to the library. I'm back. I haven't recorded anything in the library because I felt like this woman followed me everywhere I went. She was just placing the books back on the shelves, but I just felt so self-conscious, and I didn't record anything. But I've got a bag of library books, and I also have all of these that I bought on Vinted. I'm taking part in amazing readathon in June, and I'm part of Team Spooky, which is a team that will hopefully mostly be reading mystery, horror and thriller. So I've picked up a few books that were on my TBR, on my WTR actually, on my WTR, and I found them on Vinted, and I got a few of them here, and I think there's 2 or 3 more coming over the next I think few days. But I'm just gonna make myself a quick coffee, and I can show you all the books that I picked up in the library and on Vinted. Coffee done. I think I'm gonna sit here because it's so dark today. It's raining, and that room is dark in itself, so we'll sit in the kitchen as per usual. Let's go through the Vinted books first. Okay, so the first one is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and this is classed as thriller, mystery thriller. I'm just reading the top 3 on Goodreads, and it's got 3.84 stars on Goodreads. It's a bit different on Storygraph, but I just go by Goodreads because it's, for me, it's just easier. So I'm not going to read the synopsis because I usually don't do that. This is gonna go on my thriller mystery shelf. The next one is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Mohtar and Max Gladstone, and this is classed as science fiction, romance fiction. So science fiction, I didn't even know that. I do like science fiction. Recently, I've been reading quite a lot of science fiction, so that's good. And then I've got this, The Last House of Needless Thread by Catriona Ward, and I've actually read this book last year, and I've read it via audio, and I wanted it because I started, I think I gave it 5 stars, I think, and it was so good, and it was such a twist at the end. I really didn't see that coming, and even the narration on Audible was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to have my own copy of this book. And as a bundle, I picked A Sundial by the same author, Catriona Ward. On Goodreads, this is classed as horror, thriller, fiction, mystery. I think it will be a good book to read during the readathon. Stephen King blabbed it. Do not miss this book. So I don't know what this is about. Like I said, I don't really read synopsis. But I've read a book by her before and I enjoyed it, so that could work for the readathon. And then the next book from Vinted is The Black Mamba, and this is by William Friend. And this on Goodreads is classed as horror, thriller, fiction, paranormal. I love paranormal horror. I love it. But at the back it says,
Daddy, there's a man in our room.
So I think there's something sinister going on. I think this will be a really, like, I think I will really enjoy this book. And it's also short. It's like 300 pages, so it will be a quick read as well. And then the next couple of books that I have from Vintage, they're nice and short books by T. Kingfisher. And they are What Moves the Dead and What Feasts at Night. And these are really short. These are like short, very short book. I think the short books, they're like, how many pages? They're under 200 pages. So that will be a quick read as well. And I think both of them are horror. I'm excited to read them. This was on my WTR for a while, so I was happy to have found them on Vinted. Okay, the next book I have is The Kings of the Wild, and by Nicholas Eames, and this is a brand new book. I cannot believe it. The spine has not even been broken. It looks brand new. And this, I've seen so many people talk about this book. Apparently it's like a band of knights, and they retired, so they don't work as knights or assassins or whatever anymore, but that they get together for their last mission. And I heard it was quite funny. The subtitle says it all. The boys are back in town, so I think it will be a good read. And the last book from Vinted is A Darker Shade of Magic, and this is book 1 in a series by V. Schwab. And this, again, I heard so many people mention this book. I'm currently reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by the same author, and I'm really enjoying that book. And this was part of the bundle with the Kings of the Wild, so I picked it up just to try another one of her books. And this is fantasy fiction young adult, and I think, if I remember correctly, there's like 2 Londons, so this is happening in London, but obviously this is fantasy. There's some magic going on, and I think there's a white or grey London and red London or something like this, and then some people live in like different parts, and then you can't really cross from one part to the other. And I think there was something, this girl, and I think she's stealing from the rich and giving it to the poor. So something along those lines, I remember. And yeah, so I think this was part of the bundle as well. Kings of the Wild was my first choice, but this was as an extra. I saw that, I picked it up. So that's all the books from Vinted. Now let's go through the books that I picked up in the library. Tommy Adeyemi, Children of Blood and Bone, and this is I think again book 1 in a series. I just wanted to read it because it was mentioned a few times by other people that read books, and I was curious. The rest of the books were books that kind of caught my eye. I turned around and it was one of them staring me in the face, and it was actually one of the books that I wanted to pick up on Vinted as well, but I couldn't find a nice copy at a reasonable price, so I picked it up in the library today, and this is Babel. And this is fantasy as well. It's a really big book, around 550 pages. And this, basically there's like a school for people or something like this. Something. It looks to me like one of those big fantasy magical things. So it could be a good read. We shall see. This is more towards the readathon. These books are aimed towards the readathon. I kind of ventured towards a Stephen King shelf, and I don't really read Stephen King. I feel that he uses 10 words in where he could use 1. So I think it's one of those authors that you have to vibe with Stephen King, I think. I find his books a little bit dragged out. But I saw this short story by Stephen King and Richard Chisma, and it's called Gwendy's Button Box. So I don't know, I thought it would be a fun read, and also I like the cover. I think whoever did the cover, yeah, the cover is great. I love it. Oh, the next book that I picked up thinking about like horror and the readathon is The House of Footsteps by Matthew West. And this is, I've never actually heard of this author. I turned around and the book was there, and I kind of take it as a sign when I go and kind of hunt for books. Okay, so this is also listed as horror, gothic, historical fiction, and reading the description on Goodreads, it kind of reminds me of The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. So there's this guy, he comes to this village, and he's supposed to do some work in one of the houses, and so it was similar to The Woman in Black. So I think it's going to be quite an atmospheric read, hopefully. Yeah, I'm excited. I've never read anything by this author. I've never even heard of him. I've got a couple more books from the library, and both of them are by Lucy Foley. The first one is The Hunting Party, and I think this is classed as mystery thriller fiction. And the second one is called The Guest List. And the reason I picked up these books, I didn't look for them again, they were kind of there, but they popped up in my recommendations on Vinted. So because I already bought so many like of the same type of a book, Vinted started recommending me different things, and these 2 books popped up in the recommendations, and I think that both of them would be a similar kind of a story. There's a group of people, they meet for something, and then one of them dies, so it's kind of like a murder mystery. Hopefully it will fit at least one of the prompts. So I've got 6 books from the library, and I went to pick only one up because I had one hold. And Vinted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books from Vinted. I've got 4 more books coming from Vinted, and one of them is Under the Whispering Door, because I did enjoy that book, and instead of buying a new one, I decided to buy it off another person that didn't want it anymore. Okay, so I am going to go back to reading. I'll continue reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I did say I have this as an audiobook, but I also have a few other audiobooks I want to read. So I'll probably read a paper copy with my eyeballs and listen to a different book at the same time. I mean, not at the same time. So listen to another book, but read Addie LaRue. Oh my gosh, I made it so complicated. Hello everybody, I come to you from the usual place, from my kitchen. I have officially finished the blanket now. I keep looking at my hair because my hair needs a haircut, but I'm actually waiting for when I'm on annual leave, and then I'll sort my hair out then. So, officially finished the blanket. Ta-da! It is amazing. It's so heavy though, but look at that pattern. I'm absolutely... I love it. This is how big it is. Literally, I can't even like stretch it out like this. So big. I feel so accomplished. I love making things like that. It's something that, you know, when you make something out of nothing and then you have like a physical thing that you can hold, absolutely love it. Something that will give you an instant result, as in, like, you know, when you clean a house, when it's like a bit messy or a bit dusty, and then you clean it and then it's nice and clean and you can see visible results of your work. This is like this for me, you know, something that will give me a visible result. So yes, I feel very, very accomplished. But I think a lot of people will agree with me. If you're a crafty person, or if you do crocheting or knitting or sewing or something like that, you will, I bet you, agree with me that as soon as you finish a project, you kind of have those withdrawal symptoms and you want to start something new. So I decided for my next project, it's going to be a blanket as well. This one, I actually purchased a wool pack from Wool Warehouse, and I will be following a pattern by Attic24. This is their Instagram page, and I will be making a ripple blanket. This one, exactly the same colors. I've ordered this color pack, so I am so freaking excited for this. And because I've never done the ripple pattern before, I've tested it on like scraps of. I have these like a whole box of like scraps of yarn, and I tested it, and it's so cool. I can't wait for this wool to come now. I want to start ASAP. But in the meantime, I think I'll be making a scarf for my friend from work. That's the plan. Okay, end of part 3, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. End of part 3, there's a major plot twist. I was like, what? Okay, now I'm so curious. Now I want to know what happens. I'm cooking dinner. I'm also so tired. My God, the way I look. So anyway, I'm cooking dinner. And then after dinner, and I'm listening to this on audio. But I think after dinner, what I'm gonna do, I'm literally just going to get ready for bed and get in my cozy, nice, soft bed and continue reading this, because this book is so good. I am absolutely loving it. how we doing? It is, what's today? Thursday. It was my first day back at work after being sick, and it was a good day. And I came home to this. Lock Library was doing some, they were selling some of the special edition books. So I got one from like the past boxes. I can't remember which one is it, because I also ordered a couple from Illumicrate. But yeah, let's open that baby up. This is what I've ordered. Every Exquisite Thing by Laura Steven. Nice hardback edition. Lovely sprayed edges. Oh, so the top and bottom is just pink, and we have some floral designs here. Modern Gothic. Lovely end papers. And look at that foiling. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, so it has 3.84 stars on Goodreads, which is good. Fantasy horror, young adult. Okay, cool. I've got the wool for the new blanket, and oh my gosh, the colors are so amazing. Look at that. Look at that. I think I'm gonna sit down and start doing first few rows of this blanket. This is called the Coast Ripple Effect blanket or something like that, and it's by Attic24. This lady is on Instagram as well, and the wool is from the Wool Warehouse, and I bought it as a pack, and it comes with the pattern as well. So the blanket is gonna be like this, that kind of stuff. It's just so gorgeous. Buying books on Vinted. Heading home now. Hello, happy days. Last shift is done, and I'm officially on annual leave now. I'm off for 2 weeks, and I'm also so excited because the amazing Readathon starts at some point. Today is 31st of May, and the amazing Readathon takes place in June, but Brie will be dropping random prompts throughout the month. I think there's going to be 10 cities, so 10 prompts, and then some extra sightseeing prompts that we can complete to get extra points. So I'm excited for that. This is the reason I've never prepared my June TBR, because I just don't know what I will be reading. I don't know how much time I will have. I don't know what prompts there will be. It's all mystery. So this is the first readathon ever that I'm taking part in. Yeah, whichever. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and especially that this is literally something right up my alley. I've got lots of mystery and thriller and horror books at home, so I can't wait to start reading that stuff and yeah, try and get as many points for the team as I can. I have finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and oh my gosh, what a beautiful book. So this is a story of Adeline. We first meet her in the beginning of 18th century, like early 1700s, when she's just a very young girl, and her parents want to marry her off, but she doesn't want to get married, so she makes a deal with the devil. We follow her life over the 300 years, and the book is dual timeline, so we kind of see what's happening like in current times. So like talking like 2014, 15, 13, 14, 15. And then we also go back to the past and we see how her relationship with Luke, the devil, developed. And, you know, there's a time she meets someone. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give you any spoilers, but basically this book is a love story. This is, in my opinion, this is not a romance. This is a love story. This is a story of dark and light, of bad and on good. And I don't know, heartbreak and sacrifice, and I don't know, it's just a beautiful, beautiful book, beautifully written. And I think this is one of those books that will stay with you forever. And I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. And in other news, what else? I started listening to Into the Drowning Deep, and it's kind of about this girl. She's a marine biologist, and her sister used to work for this entertainment company or something like that, and they go on a boat in the area of Mariana Trench. There's an attack. They're being attacked by mermaids, apparently, and the ship sinks and everybody dies. And years later, that girl, Victoria, I think, Tori, she's a marine biologist, and she, all her life, all these years, she was trying to solve the mystery of her sister's disappearance. We are at the point when they are doing another expedition to the same place, and it looks like something could be happening there. So I literally just started this book. I think I've listened to about 10-15%. But yeah, it sounds interesting. So it's going to definitely be about scary mermaids. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for June. I'm excited for my annual leave. I'm excited for the new month coming. I am excited and I can't wait to rest properly over the next couple of weeks. And I don't know, just bring it on. Life couldn't be better. The idea is we are not going to go heavy today on squats. We're just gonna do 100 kilo, but we are going to max out every single set. So we'll try 20 reps on the first set. If not, then max out, and then 15, and then 10. But yeah, for me, I don't know if I can do 20 reps, so I'll just see as many as I can do. Hello, we are back from the gym. We are preparing dinner. Jason is cutting me a big, nice slice of cheese, because I like cheese. Thank you, I love you.
I do too. I love a slice myself.
We went a little bit crazy in the gym. We literally felt sick, and that doesn't happen very often. But it was a really good workout. Just preparing some dinner. We're gonna keep it nice and easy tonight. Just doing some enchiladas. To check the mics. But I wanted to show you the progress on the blanket. Da-da-da-da! How pretty is that? These colors, and this especially, this is called Bluebell. It's my favorite color ever. It's so gorgeous. So yeah, that's the blanket. And then I also just had a delivery. This is Illumicrate. I've ordered a couple of books from them. So one of them is the Evernight. So I haven't got subscription on Evernight. I'm on a waiting list for Evernight. Evernight is I think it's a horror book, and that's only a quarterly subscription. And the book is, there it is, Murder Road. There we are. How cool is that? Oh, I love this cover. And we've got pink sprayed edges and some trees here, and papers are cool. There's a map on the cover. How cool is that? I love a good map. April and Eddie have taken a wrong turn and now they're on a local dark road. Late at night, when they see a woman up ahead clearly in trouble, they stop and pick her up. It's only once she's in the car that they see the blood, and then headlights appear in the distance, racing towards them at speed. And at long last, the woman speaks. "I'm sorry, he's coming." While April and Eddie are able to escape this time, their terrifying adventure is only just the beginning. The hitchhiker's injuries prove fatal, and the couple are trapped in the small town of Cold Lake Falls, prime suspects in the eyes of the local police. It turns out that this isn't the first victim to die on this stretch of the road, and it isn't the first time that survivors have seen something that can't be explained. But to get out of town, April and Eddie are going to have to drive down the haunted stretch of the road one more time. This Illumicrate. Ooh. Okay, so we have Martha Wells, Witch King. And again, nice purple sprayed edges. I actually like the size of this hardback. It's slightly smaller than this one. So that's the cover. And papers. Yay! After being murdered, his consciousness dormant and unaware of the passing of time while confined in an elaborate water trap, Kai wakes to find a lesser mage attempting to harness Kai's magic to his own advantage. That was never going to go well. But why was Kai imprisoned in the first place? What has changed in the world since his assassination? And why does the Rising World Coalition appear to be growing in influence? Kai will need to pull his allies close and draw on all his pain magic if he is to answer even the least of these questions. He's not going to like the answers. That's the two books, Evernight and Illumicrate, and hopefully I will be able to fit this for the amazing readathon as well, because at the end of the day this is a horror or thriller or something like along these lines, so hopefully it will fit at least one of the prompts. I will now go back to making my blanket and waiting for Jason to hurry up and cook dinner. Good morning, it's Sunday. I keep saying I'm taking part in this amazing readathon, and I actually finished the first book for it. I finished it yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to record anything, and I am in the team Spooky, so we read mostly mystery, thriller, horror, that kind of stuff. And we don't have to read this, but we get extra points if we read in our team's genre. So the first book I did finish was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And this is actually the first time I was reading Lucy Foley. It was one of those books I saw in the library and I just picked them up because the author sounded familiar, but I've never read anything by her. So I picked it up and I actually enjoyed it. It was kind of like a closed room murder mystery. There's so many people on the island and they go to the wedding. And everybody is in some way connected. And there's a lot of issues and a lot of drama, a lot of things that happened in the past, and they come out throughout the book. And then towards the end, you can kind of guess who could have done it. But from the start, there's so many possibilities. This book will literally keep you guessing. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I was missing that 5-star element when you're like, wow. So I was missing the wow, but I still gave it 5 stars because I think it was a good book. I have another one, The Hunting Party, as well. So hopefully we will fit some of the prompts in the readathon. But now that I've completed my first prompt, I can do the sightseeing prompts. And for sightseeing prompts, we basically get extra points for our team. And one of those sightseeing prompts was worth 500 points, was read a book with exactly 5 words in a title. So I picked up The Reappearance of Rachel Price because it's exactly 5 words. And this book has been on my shelf for, I don't know, a couple of months maybe, but it fitted the prompt, and you know, I'd rather read something that I already own than go and buy books to fit the challenge. So that's nice. That will be 500 points. And I also read Gwendy's Box by Stephen King. That book is actually upstairs because I was reading that last night. And it's only a short story or a novella. It's like 160 pages or something like that. But it's interesting and intriguing. So here I've read about 4 or 5 chapters so far. I'm gonna actually sit down and read a little bit more in a while. I made my coffee, so I'm gonna sit down, have my coffee, and read a little bit more. But for now, we just learn about how Rachel Price disappeared, and they're trying to record this documentary. So you know, there's interviews, and they're meeting the family, and they talk about, you know, the stuff that happened in the past. They start with her daughter, Bella. I think it's Annabelle is her full name. So they start with an interview with her daughter, Bella. She was actually in a car where her mom disappeared. And yeah, so we started there talking to the family members and trying to find out the story of Rachel Price. I'm gonna go and read the book. And Sunday today, we are planning to go for a little walk. We did legs yesterday and we are quite sore today. So I think a little walk will help. So we'll go for a little walk, maybe cut the grass later and just chill. Good evening. I'm not sure what the light is like here. It's a little bit rubbish because I'm in the bedroom. Just finished reading The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and I have to say I was a little bit not disappointed, but a little bit confused by everything that unfolded towards the end of the book. This book had a potential to be a 5-star read for me, but because of how things are unfolded, I had to take away half the star. So I gave this book 4.5 stars, and it's because it kind of it was just a little bit too unbelievable. So I took half that star away. But generally, it's such a good book. It's super fast read. I highly recommend it. It's a great book, fast paced, great plot. Very interesting, actually. Yeah, very, very interesting. So, yeah, highly recommend that one. I'm not going to say too much, but if you've not heard about this book, this is a story of this girl, really. And when she is 2 years old, her mother gets kidnapped, taken from the car, and the baby stays with the dad. And 16 years later, the mother appears again. And, you know, the story unfolds, the plot unfolds, all the backstory and everything that happened in between. And, you know, everything just comes to light. So it's very interesting. It's a very complicated plot, I would say. So I feel I admire Holly for not getting lost in it. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's currently 20 to midnight, so 23:40. But I'm thinking I really want to finish another book, this one, Gwendy's Box, because I only have about 130 pages left in this. It's a short story, but I can get 500 points for it. So I'm determined to finish this big book today because I think I can. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I will try. In the meantime, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you did, don't forget to like and comment because that helps me out. I will now go and try and finish my book and go Team Spooky.